minutes are we? It looks totally messed up. All right, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Gotham, Metropolis, Emerald City, Xanadu, Babylon, to the ISS, to the rest of you. Good morning, as the case may be, 1 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. in Moscow, 3 p.m. in Tokyo, and 10 p.m. to Los Angeles. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, whatever the case may be where you are. Let me make sure the mics are on. Yeah. Okay. And then bash and move everything. We have a lot of headlines, and they are really wanting to run the gamut. The media now caught in a hype regarding President Zelensky's remote Zoom conference with Congress. President of the United States Joe Biden was very crafty in not answering questions, and yet caught in one gaggle of the press corps and one reporter asking about Vladimir Putin, whether or not the president was going to, along with others, declare he's a war criminal, Vladimir Putin. And he said, I think he's a war criminal. The media then immediately runs with President Biden declared Vladimir Putin a war criminal. Oh, the headlines get more bizarre. You can find me on the World Wide Web, ScooterMcGee.com. You can find these headlines on my Twitter feed, the Scooter McGee on Twitter, and social media. Good luck if you can find it. Shadow banned as it is, Scooter McGee on Facebook. But let's get through the headlines. Tell your friends and your enemies about the number one podcast that nobody knows about and even fewer people watch or listen to. President Biden is going to attend the Brussels summit next week. Okay. Good. Hype that up in the news. The Ukraine is being devastated by attacks from not only the air but artillery. Those who are using buildings in Ukraine as refugee centers. The Russian military they throw up a shell, they drop a bomb. The inhumanity of attacking a refugee shelter, they don't know. You know, all the intelligence you thought was also correct. How wrong it's been this entire campaign. But, you know, the Russian military is best in intelligence, and this is an indiscriminate attack on a refugee center. Wow. The Russian Navy is in the Black Sea, not conducting maneuvers, but positioning themselves now for either a blockade of Ukraine's largest port in the south, and that's Odessa, or something worse. President Zelensky, of course, reiterating the absolute necessary need for a no-fly zone, more weapons, more money. This past 7 days, the White House, of course, authorized an extra $1.x billion, and then President Biden, Freudian slip, earlier today, announced another $800 million. Where's all this money going? Meanwhile, the news reports they're working on getting a theme for the crisis, which is going to go on for at least 2 years, according to the Federal Reserve, because that's how long they say. Oh, and it won't be a couple of rate hikes. Expect 6 rate hikes in the next 9 months, because it's already March, and they said before the end of the year, to curb inflation. The inflation that they said was transitory. Just checking them on, make sure my ears are working. The Ukrainian refugee count is now 3.1 million and climbing not exponentially. 125 to 175,000 a day are streaming out. No end in sight. Vice President Kamala Harris's husband has tested positive for COVID, so she will be curtailing her schedule to take care of her husband, I guess, stand by her man. I don't know. The economy, the recession, The need to be woke, the need to go green. Starbucks is the first. Not only will it save money in the plastic and paper cups, no, you're going to start bringing your own cup to Starbucks. Okay. Wait till they have to start making their own coffee. Making their own coffee. Stand by for rations. Wait till they. Excuse me. Cheers, comrades. What? I told you we're going to get logos and uniforms, and they're not turning the war off. We're day 22 or 23, depending upon where on the globe you are, unless you believe the earth is flat. And, well, that means no less than 24 months of economic recovery if things were okay, and it's not. And then the Federal Reserve telegraphing that, this is what we're going to do and manage and to prevent and over the next 2 years we foresee. Okay, well, timelines are starting to add up now, and I'm a high school dropout. So these people who are all these experts who keep claiming we could have never foreseen this, well then what and drug am I on? Because I don't take drugs, and I can't figure out how I can keep seeing right from the headlines you're telegraphing where this goes. Pfizer CEO announces that we are going to need a fourth, you know what, or a second, you know what. The Johnson and Johnson, however, seems to be holding very well in the. Wow. Okay, where's that going? Yeah. Stand by this fall when we expect to see an uptick of cases that may or may not coincide with an election. But if you bring that up, you're a conspiracy theorist. Speaking of conspiracy theories, a Chicago judge, Cook County, Illinois, a judge has authorized the release of Jussie Smollett or Jussie Smollett, whatever that retard's name is, 6 days out of the 150-day sentence that he was given. Had he, again, Cook County in the jail system, the way that works, well, he'd have done half time, 75. Couldn't stand on his head for 7. I presume he will now dedicate the rest of his life to continuing to tell a lie, since the family is still doing that. But then I presume every waking moment he will pursue finding the real attackers. So I'm sure there'll be a blog, and you can donate money to help. And daylight savings bill passes the Senate, now being sent over to the House. What is being called the Sunshine Protection Act. That's what you call it. By the way, if you're doing anything other than saying, here's what the time is from now on, and you're going to create funding or a little study to see the impact, any of that is in monkey business. By the way, speaking of monkey business, did you notice that the Congress of Baboons, otherwise known as the U.S. Congress, did you happen to see that they gave them a 20% pay rate in these last set of things they were signing? President Biden getting up close and personal with Angelina Jolie. Thank God she's there in Capitol Hill lobbying for the women. Curfews now in effect in Kyiv. And again, with my comment about regarding the $1 billion earlier this last week, and now the announcement of $800 million. Stand by. The United States White House, the White House, the United States, has pledged an extra $186 million now in humanitarian aid to Ukraine. The Federal Reserve did announce their interest rate hike as predicted, but no, because they told us, and it's a quarter of a point. So if any other economic indicator is out there, that means over the next 9 months, they're going to raise it 6 more times, a quarter point apiece. Stand by. You ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till the March economic indicators are out in April, and you people realize the whole Bugatti is crumbling. No, the new variant. I know. Worry about that. Whoa. Bird flu in Wisconsin. I know. We're not worried about that either. Politicians on both sides of the aisle earlier today, were applauding President Zelensky. Critics, however, wondered why he couldn't dress properly in it while they're critiquing his fashion. The maniac still wants, you are a Russian sympathizer. The maniac still wants a no-fly zone. Any high school dropout knows that that will only escalate the war. And these pacifist, libtard, retarded because their thinking is being held back. Retarded does not mean, yay, yay, let my helmet, yay. I mean, some of them are, but I don't mean it like that. It will only escalate. And they are desperate for a deviation in all of the lies they are now being caught in. Where is Dr. Fauci? There's a new variant. Yeah, but both sides of the aisle now. You know, it's the 21st century and we've learned so much. And we're going to probably have to have a no-fly zone. We're really going to have a war. We've got a lot to bury and cover up. We're going to have a world war. They don't say that, but that's what no-fly zone means. No trip, however, with the White House announcing that President Biden is going to Brussels, no announcement of a tack on at the end of or before to head to Saudi Arabia to meet with bin Salman, the Saudi crown prince, even though the White House said that was in the works. The serial killer responsible for allegedly several very unusually bizarre, brutal murders in New York and Washington, D.C. has been arrested in a tri-state and nationwide manhunt. And wow, the profiles aren't adding up for the narrative. But the New York City mayor, not to be outdone, is very concerned about these children in school without their masks on. Got it. Due to the announcement of 50 million in lockdown in China, the overnight global oil prices tumbling, and your prices only went up. So that's Putin's fault. And if you're going to start questioning the recession and the politics behind it, you could equally be a Russian sympathizer, or you could be a Russian. And we have to demonize all of them. Chicken Kyiv actually sounds good for dinner this weekend. The reports of now a stunning 3.1 million refugees in this first 21 days having escaped Ukraine. The media now is reporting that that number could double by week's end. So is week's end Friday when the world checks out, Monday through Friday, or the week's end Sunday? We will monitor. The White House, of course, has been caught working with TikTok and social media influencers so they can get out and explain to you, if they all repeat the same thing, maybe the idiots will believe it, of why your gas is going up and whose fault it is and what we need you to do. Oh, dear God. The cargo ship in the The cargo ship in the Chesapeake Bay is still stuck, but thank goodness it's not in the traffic lanes right now to cause any more supply chain issues. Intelligence sources in the West, appearing on NBC, CNN, Fox News, and others, are still worried that Russia is going to commit a false flag and escalate the world and NATO into the defense of Ukraine. These are the same intelligence sources 21 days ago that said Kyiv had fallen. Kyiv was falling. Kyiv was about to fall. Kyiv was in danger of falling. Those were the headline sequences in the first 10 days. Now it is, if Kyiv falls, will that be the end of Ukraine? No, the Ukrainians have made it pretty clear. You have to kill all of us. We're going to kill you. We're not letting you occupy our country. Liberals and the left here in the United States, and even the rhinos of the staunch Republicans, the rhinos, the wussies in sheep's cold clothing, Be very, very worried. And only Russia uses false flags. I bring that up because President Zelensky's powerful address in the auditorium, too many people saw the State of the Union address going, is that even the same building? What building are they in? It looks close, but it doesn't look right. And the acoustics were wrong, the number of people, they were piping in sound. The press got caught 6 ways to November being sketchy with the State of the Union address. They wouldn't let the public feed that you pay for, you weren't allowed to comment. Wow. Hey, the volume's weird. The auditorium speech. I'm not versed in Willy Wonka, the original version. But I want an Oompa Loompa and I want it now. This no-fly nonsense. They just won't let it die. Speaking of no-fly, out of Pyongyang, a failed North Korean missile test. We'll have more at the bottom of the hour. Thanks, Skippy. Zero intelligence sources. White House TikTok. Kamal, I got to that. Oh, Denver, disgusting, gross story. Self-proclaimed animal activist who resigned, who had served on the state veterinarian board, is now facing animal cruelty charges. You can find out that local story. What a nutcase. And meanwhile, the ones we tell the freaks, and they're aggressive, and they're an advocate, and everybody's a victim. You ever get in their homes, you'd freak out. The pictures coming out of their home is absolutely, and again, there'll be a little slap on the wrist, and off you go, because we go after, mean Republican politicians, not the liberals who protect and save the animals. Speaking of Jussie Smollett, of course, breaking news. Power of the people. Freak show on the dance floor. Johnson & Johnson again, still maintaining that its little product, they say it still seems effective. Oh, we're gonna new variant. Everybody stand by. More groundbreaking news out of the White House. Another first. Empowering, careful what you call them. Empowering women of color. Right? God, I hope that I said that right. Shalonda Young. Now the White House Budget Office. The world can sleep. Thank you, God. It's back in the hands of grown-ups. We're back to Hal Holbrook and Capricorn 1. Don't say no, bro. What do you mean, don't say no? Your families. What about our family? Look, if you don't go along with this, there's a device on the plane. If I don't call people, you wouldn't do that. Look, it's gotten too big. It's in the hands of grown-ups now. Those are the same grown-ups we're supposed to be. Oh. I think I just blew the microphones. Sorry. Congratulations, Shalonda. Good for you. Oh, what a proud moment. And we were here for it. Well, I mean, I was here. Nobody else watches this and pays attention, so it is what it is. And you're absolutely disgusting, you racist pig. No, I just point out in the times of crisis, the president's out here giving out some, to protect the women, and we got to make sure that the clocks, we can never have that crisis go away. Again, if they're doing anything other than changing how you set your watch and allocating any money or research or studies, you are being swindled. You might want to go read it for yourself instead of waiting for the local news and the problem solvers, to tell you what you need to know. Oh, dear God. Speaking of the pets and the nonsense out of Denver, 40% of pet owners, when polled recently, They're closer to their pets now than people. Okay. FEMA has announced that it has spent over $2 billion in COVID funeral assistance. Seemed like an awful lot of money for the plastic coffins and the liners and the camps, and thought we already spent all that money to build all that stuff. I have a feeling they're going to need some more money. Interesting headline to just kind of scroll across the crawl. FEMA spent $2 billion in funeral assistance. Good for FEMA. Happy International Panda Day. 50 years of panda diplomacy was the tag on ABC Overnight News. These metrosexual beta freak shows on the dance floor with their pants around their ankles way too tight, clearly not allowing blood to their brain. 50 years of panda diplomacy. It's International Panda Day. Pandas come from where? Our international partners in peace. Yeah, don't hand me that anymore. Another problem in the world of the health markets. Most Americans now have diabetes. Excuse me. Most Americans have diabetes. Do you think you do? Well, do I have diabetes.org? There's your taxpayer money. Thanks to the sugar lobbyists and Nestle and the rest of the crack staff. All the way back to was it Dr. Kellogg who created Kellogg's cereal, the flakes? Talk about a flake. What his belief system and where he was in the pecking order of the new world. By the way, President Zelensky, as you plead, President Obama, we need a president of that world, of this world. You need to be the president of the world. I wouldn't let the president be in charge of a boat anchor right now. Because he's got one, America, and America's sinking fast. International Panda Day tonight. Oh, God. You might have diabetes. You should go to the webs.org. Okay. Do I have diabetes.org? I hate to bring up Ron White in the plane. You sit there and read 5,000-page article. When you get up, you're going to have to. Doesn't matter. Boy, have they just programmed you. Do you get up in the morning? Yes. Do you pee in the middle of the night? Well, not in bed. I mean, I get up in the middle of the night sometimes. Listen, have you ever eaten a Twinkie? Yes. Then you have diabetes. You are going to need to get on medication right now. How about if I change my... No, don't change anything. You keep being the special you that you are. Just take this pill. We got a federal grant money out of the Sunshine Protection Act. The United States Senate, the Sunshine Protection Act. Little John Denver should be strumming right now. Russian Navy, Odessa, Ukrainian families being torn apart. Fathers now having to remain in the country as the women and the children. Yeah, well, I mean, women and children on the Titanic, you're romanticizing that. But see, the West, you've digitized and sanitized and romanticized war. War is the last god-awful, ugly thing you ever want. So why are your diplomats and your leaders calling for the escalation? That is not diplomacy. That's psychotic behavior. And they're calling each other names. All at your expense. If they really cared about these... it's not for children and I'm not supposed to swear, but okay, here we go. If they really cared about these goddamn children as much as they alleged, then, waiting to meet until next week is psychotic. Proving they are. You're the madman. No, you're the madman. You're all madmen. You're psychos, you're lunatics, you're narcissists. You're going to have to do something, America. I believe that's it. Again, 50 million are now in lockdown in China, and the media quickly getting ahead of more supply chain issues by pointing out, when that happens, it's just going to add to it, and it's Putin's fault. China lockdown. Yeah, but see, the supply chain issues are Putin's fault. So now that China's having theirs, but the supply chain issues are Putin's fault. I see. Because the inflation that we have, when we first pointed out that, well, inflation technically you need 2 consecutive quarters of, so this is transitory. Same retards who said that to you and all repeated it are now telling you, well, we weren't wrong. The economy is so strong. The economy is that weak because they have flooded the market with worthless money. And most people haven't figured it out yet. Idaho maintains its passage of the 6-week abortion bill as the world awaits. The world. NBC, Lester Holt, you are absolutely out of your mind. As the world awaits this summer, the Supreme Court's ruling a decision on Roe versus Wade. Wow. The world, the international community. Just a bunch of Chinese butt-licking, chicken hawk warmongering. Oh. Gonna have to start bringing you. No, we're gonna let you. First, it's to help save the environment, because we're green. You can start bringing your cup. You've seen these people who walk around with some of these, massive just be able to, wow, you'll just simply have a blunt force trauma object right there in your hand when you're moody first thing in the morning. And those ones behind the counter. And then there's this one behind you. And then this comes along. And whammo. And it'll be somebody else's fault that you did that. Won't that be great? You'll get to be the victim. God help the people who attacked Jussie Smollett on that cold winter morning in Chicago, just wanting to go out at 2 or 2:30 in the morning for a Subway sandwich. And his life is forever changed. He's a victim. The media's crucified him. The lies coming out of his mouth, his brother's mouth, his family's mouth, and the media's silent, other than here's what he's saying. So that the low energy, not thinking, mouth breathing, Cheeto, huh? And Jesse says he's innocent. Right on, Jesse. Right on. Go fund me. $5. There's a school this summer that's going to teach children. Oh, now what you think? I'm not touching those stories. We're going to have a wonderful camp this summer. Oh, my God. You're pledging allegiance to what flag? Flag. Careful. Mr. Buttigieg's first man. Oh, gross. Stop. We, out of Santa Clara and San Francisco, California, we're going to offer how to teach children to fight with lightsabers like Jedis. What do you say we teach them to add 2 + 2 first? Make change for $1. Let's try that. No. Diversity and equity. Children can grow up to be whatever they want to be. Hey, as much as I want to be a Jedi, you don't see me. Look, I came out a good Sith Lord. Bad Jedi, good Sith Lord. That's a whole different paradox. You don't see me running around with props. Props. Harmless ones. That actually works. It's a real microphone from the 1980s. Yeah, I don't. When I grow up, I want to be a Jedi. Timmy? Yes. Would you like to go to Minojin or Itahoppy or Camp Foley or how about Space Camp? I don't know, Space Camp where they're going to pretend to be a NASA shuttle? What? No. I want to go to Jedi school. I want to learn to use a lightsaber like Obi-Wan. The listeners would never know this, and here's the gag. Hey, remember when you got the snot beaten out of you for a unicycle? Can you imagine how much trouble I would have gotten in brandishing a lightsaber at the St. Paul Athletic Club? Whew. So on that note, Gotham, we're going to say goodnight. These were your headlines in no particular order. Lots of money being spent out of the White House and lots of money being raised for awareness for the Ukrainian refugees. Still no answers as to how so many of them are appearing at the Mexican border, but that's a crisis that I'm sure we'll get to next week. Questions, problems, comments, you can send over to my email, scooter@scootermcgee.com. Follow me on the World Wide Web, scootermcgee.com. Support the show, please, if you can, be generous. Since the currency's not going to be worth much anyway, save a retired talk show host from homelessness. You can support my Patreon page. Okay. So that I don't have to become a male prostitute. Pay and we can keep my clothes on. Is that fair? Okay. The Twitter feed and all the headlines, the Scooter McGee, because nobody cares about you. You're not even funny, dude. Who would want to take your name? I don't know. The other people behind you are Scooter McGee 1 and Scooter McGee 2 and a fictitious character. So unless I see you in the real world, don't believe what I'm saying. Don't believe these headlines. Research them yourself. But 3 million refugees going now to possibly 6 before week's end. And Scooter Damas pointed out in the end of December, beginning of January, that if there is going to be any refugees, it'd be 500,000 to 2. However, if there was any activity in the region, that number would quickly jump from 2 to possibly 10 million. If the numbers are correct, 3 million could double. Oh, and speaking of more than double, the original count of Russian dead soldiers of 498 possibly could be now as high as 8 to 10,000. We'll monitor that story. So as your weather idiots are monitoring traffic conditions so that you make sure to stay home tomorrow, regardless of the holiday and speeding and the police out stopping speeders and, the fentanyl is everywhere, but we're just worried about your safety. So work from home and download our app and keep it right here. Go out, get some sun, question authority in a non-Maxine Waters kind of way. Do your own research. Have your own opinions. Grab somebody you love or lust. Have a good night. Have a better tomorrow. Be safe. Be kind. Godspeed. Good night.